Mula sa malubhang sakuna, maraming salamat po.
Karamihan po, dalawa lang ang rason nating mga kababayan sa pagpunta dito sa Amerika. First is to be able to create a better life for our relatives in the Philippines. Pangalawa, in order for us here na matamasa po at maramdaman natin ang American dream. Pero napakahirap po niyan if our immigration papers are not in order. That's why here on the show, we give you advice on how to keep that in order through our American Dream segment.
This American Dream is brought to you by Aquino and Aquino Law, answering your immigration questions.
Magandang hapon sa iyo, Attorney Allison Aquino. Welcome to Kababayan LA here on American Dream.
Good afternoon, Janelle.
All right, first question from our viewer. This lady emailed us and called us and was asking to ask you this, okay? Her work visa has already expired years ago, but she has been staying here illegally in the U.S., working under the table. One day, her friend asked her to accompany the friend to go to the airport to pick up the friend's son. But over there, maybe they were suspicious looking or something. They caught the eye of an immigration officer who interviewed them, interrogated them, and the immigration officer found out that her papers are actually expired and not in order. And the officer confiscated all her stuff, her documentation and all her papers, the expired ones, and asked her to wait in the mail for a notice to appear in court, which she received about a few weeks from now. And now she's asking, at this point, does she need a lawyer? Does she need to lawyer up? And number two, does this mean she is going to get deported? Is that automatic?
Well, in answer to her first question, does she need a lawyer? Absolutely, she needs a lawyer because removal proceedings are, of course, the most serious situation that an individual who is out of status in the United States can face. Mm-hmm. And unless an individual has an attorney, the legal rights of the individual may or may not be properly protected because naturally immigration has their attorney. And their main focus is to try and make sure that the individual is deported from the United States.
Okay. Well, the second question is, you mentioned that removal proceedings. What happens when you get a notice to appear in court? Is that automatic that you're going to get deported? And do you get deported right there and then when you appear in court, or are you going to get detained first? And what's going to happen?
No, the removal proceedings it's a process. It's certainly not something that happens right away. Mm-hmm. So when an individual receives a notice to appear, that's simply the first document indicating or informing the individual why immigration seeks to deport them from the United States. Mm-hmm. The process for removal proceedings is actually quite involved, and so usually when an individual receives the notice to appear, it will indicate either the actual date of the first court hearing or a separate letter might be sent after that indicating when the individual has to show up. Mm-hmm. The first court hearing is similar to a criminal proceeding where the individual pleads guilty, not guilty. In immigration, the individual would be pleading whether they are removable or not removable, okay, and also indicating to the judge what possible relief they might have or possible defense they might have, which might entitle them to stay in the United States.
Which leads me to my next question. What are some of the relief that's available to illegal aliens at this point that they can use in order for them to be able to stay here legally?
Well, naturally, each case is individual, and an attorney would have to take a look and see whether an individual qualifies. But it's essentially the process to determine whether an individual has some type of basis for a visa, which might entitle them to stay. So if they are, for example, married to a U.S. citizen, they can certainly apply for their green card based on that marriage. Another situation is if perhaps they've been in the United States for over a 10-year period of time and they have certain qualifying relatives, then they may be able to seek cancellation of removal. Mm-hmm. At a minimum, if an individual does not have a criminal record, then at a minimum, individuals are entitled to a form of relief called voluntary departure. Okay. And at least with voluntary departure, it would allow the individual to leave the U.S. on their own right without having to be arrested, detained, and forced out of the country by the United States.
And the good thing about this is Aquino and Aquino Law, they give free consultation. It has to be just the initial consultation, and it has to be face-to-face, right, Allison?
Yes, we do provide an initial office consultation.
All right, office consultation. So if you're going to consult via email or via phone, they will have to charge. But if you go there directly and do an office consultation, then it's free for you. We were flashing the number on the screen. Also, their website, aquinolaw.net, if you want to get more information and book your appointments. Now, thank you so much, Allison, and more power to you.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
That was Attorney Allison Aquino of Aquino and Aquino Law for our American Dream segment. When we return, let us talk about school life, university life.